influencing popular culture, politics, and everything in between. The local station takes you ringside as we discuss the crazy world that is professional wrestling. This is Going Ringside with the local station.
Hey guys, welcome to our live episode of Going Ringside on location here in World Golf Village, Caddyshack Murray Brothers. Thanks for joining us for the announcement for River City Wrestling Con as I stand next to the Hall of Famer himself, Teddy Long. Teddy Long, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Last year I had the opportunity to be here and be with him and to help host this, and I'm thankful that you guys wanted me to come back this year and be a part of it. Thank you once again, and if I could get a holla, 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 I know you can do better than that. Holla, holla, holla! I appreciate that. Now you don't have to go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
So, Teddy, you go to a lot of conventions all over. This has become one of the big ones, hasn't it? Here in Northeast Florida, River City Wrestling Con?
Well, yes, it has. And I wanted to thank these guys. They've done a remarkable job building this thing. I was with them when they first started. They were at the old fairgrounds in Jacksonville, and we moved to a big and better location, and this is just outstanding, man. And they couldn't do it without the support of all of you. So thank y'all very much.
So we get we're going to get to the stars coming this year in a little bit, but I want to talk a little about last year. You were here with massive stars. We had Sting, we had Trish Stratus, we had just everyone, it seemed like. How are we able to attract you guys to our neck of the woods?
Well, this is where I want to be. I can't speak for everybody else, but I just enjoy coming here every year and meeting all the fans and having a great time. So I couldn't thank you anymore. I love it here. Thank you.
So, Teddy, what are your current thoughts on the state of pro wrestling right now? We got a lot going on in this world of wrestling. Almost time for WrestleMania.
Well, wrestling has certainly changed now. It's from, when I started, but I think it's really changed for the better. There are a lot of good things going on the TV now. And basically what we moved to is entertainment. It's World Wrestling Entertainment +/wrestling. But I think both of it is working. They're doing a great job. The Royal Rumble was outstanding, and we're headed into WrestleMania, like you say, and that's going to be, I believe, one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time.
We were talking earlier, who are the big stars? Who really catches your eye in wrestling right now?
Well, I like LA Knight. I think he's doing a real great job. Also, I know you might not like me for this, but I like Dominic Mysterio.
You're a big Dom fan. So you watched him grow up.
I watched him. He was a little bitty boy. Ray used to bring him to the arena, so I watched him from a kid, and I watched him grow up. And the reason I like him, to watch from him growing up and becoming what he has become today is just, I would have never dreamed it, but it's just outstanding. So I like Dom, and I really love my girl Nia Jax. That's my. You're
still a big Nia Jax fan.
That's my baby mama. You know what I mean?
Really? Yeah. Okay. Now, where can people hear you? You've got a show yourself.
I have a podcast along with Mac Davis. I'm the co-host there. It's called Road Trip After Hours. We're starting to do it live now. We'll do it live every Thursday night around 7 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, and we're going to stretch it out a little bit more. So if you guys can remember, it's Road Trip After Hours, Teddy Long and Mac Davis.
So we've been doing this show almost 2 years. I just wound up in this wrestling world. It seems like podcasting shows have taken over this industry. You guys didn't have this 20 years ago.
No. Well, like I said, the internet has really taken over. And I was talking to some of the guys this morning, and I was telling them, I remember one time Vince McMahon said in a meeting that television would be obsolete. Nobody would even be watching it anymore, that the internet would take over everything, and that's pretty much what's going to happen.
That's what's happening. Well, yeah. Teddy, we're going to bring you back up in a little bit. We're going to do the major announcement. Teddy Long, everyone. Here's the man. He'll be back in just a bit. Thank you, Teddy. So Teddy is going to help us announce the big stars coming this June. Guys, June 6th and 7th, is that the dates? 7th and 8th. June 7th and 8th. River City Wrestling Con, one of the biggest conventions of the year in all of America. This is where the big stars are, and Teddy's going to join us in a little bit, a little later in the hour, to unveil the big stars on the big screen right there that will be here this June. And River City Wrestling Con is partnering with a lot of local agencies. We want to bring the sheriff of St. Johns County up. Sheriff Rob Hardwick. Rob, Sheriff, thank you so much for coming.
Take my microphone.
Scott, thank you for having me, and of course my wife Kendall here is too as well, and we just appreciate you having us on tonight and the partnership, of course, that we share with.
And your wife can grab the microphone too. She's got a mic right there. They should all be working. So talk to me a little about. I want to ask you about the Police Athletic League PAL in a little bit. Before I do that, talk to me a little about something like this in St. Johns County. Thousands and thousands of people are going to be here in June. What's it like for you guys as far as just kind of being a welcome mat for the country?
I think my thing is, of course, the relationships and partnerships. When Nick and Sam reached out to Kendall and I, we met them at TPC one year, and they kind of gave us their vision of what we wanted to do here in St. Johns County. Every name they said, I was like, I worship those people, Yeah. And I still idolize them. I see Teddy sitting here today, and I was like, okay, I got to get my hands on Teddy. But anyways, and also, it's just important. So when they teamed up with us last year, we had our community engagement team there. We had our PACE team there. We talked about some relationship and partnerships with Police Athletic League. And then we just hosted a major boxing event last week where we drew in just under 2,700 tickets, where our cops actually fought our firefighters. All the money, yeah, we appreciate you. Appreciate you, yes. And all that money, Scott, went back to Kendall's vision of Diamond and Dreams, which I'll let her tell you about that.
Tell me about it.
Sure, absolutely. So Diamond of Dreams is a project that is specifically designed for children and young adults with special needs. It's a baseball field and playground designed for their needs. The playground will have playground equipment that wheelchairs can access, so that family members can be out there playing with their siblings and their friends. And also the baseball field will be a carpeted baseball field so that wheelchairs can easily access the entire ball field.
So let me ask, I missed, where physically in St. John's will this be?
So it's in southern St. Johns County, where we know that the majority of our at-risk youth are. So we want to make sure that we're targeting that area as well, because we do have something similar to it in the northern part of the county. So we want to make sure that we're encompassing the southern part of the county with this.
Sheriff, I want to get your opinion. So when we think of the sheriff's office, so there's always a stereotype as the guy that pulls me over, but that's just a small part of the job you do, particularly dealing with the youth. Talk to me about the importance for your agency of things like this in southern St. Johns County and what it means to dealing with youth around here.
So a lot of people know I've been a high school coach in St. Johns County of football for 28 years. I started, coaching in PAL. I got a lot of kids that are actually doing great things in college football now. So my wife and I, of course, we have older sons, 33 and 28. So we've hyper-focused on, providing service to our at-risk kids in St. Johns County. And we feel like if we can, get these uniforms involved in their life at a younger age, they understand. And I think what you've seen in St. Johns County is these young men and women that played football for me, that we grew up together, that we watched grow up with our kids, they're now working for me at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So again, I'm a fight addict. I'm a wrestler addict my whole life. We paid some of our bills at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when I was up there as a paratrooper, and we couldn't pay our bills, so I'd fight a little on the side, some nasty money we used to call it. And I've always been addicted to fighting and wrestling, and I grew up watching these guys. They were stars in my life. So now we just want to tie it back into our youth and bring our youth, of course, into the sheriff's office through sports, through athletics, through leadership, through mentoring, and then also to those special kids too as well that maybe don't look like the other kids, and maybe don't have the same abilities as another kid. So I think we're doing something just a little bit different in St. Johns County.
And you guys are growing so much. I mean, you got new kids that literally move to this community every single day. I mean, for you as a sheriff, dealing with that growth and learning a new neighborhood literally on a daily basis, because you're used to going into neighborhoods you're used to, but they're growing every day around here and all over the place.
Scott, one thing, Kendall's the director of nursing for our schools here in St. Johns County. She has 52,000 kids in our school district through the public school system. And, it's about getting out there. And because of that horrific incident back in 2018 in a place called Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, where 17 people were wounded, 17 were murdered, the whole world changed. And because of that, good things happened out of that horrific incident. This is what happened happen. It forced us to put deputy sheriffs in this uniform in all of our 44 schools in St. Johns County. So now the little ones, you see our big SWAT guys that are working in our schools, they're playing dodgeball, they're playing jump rope, they're being invited to birthday parties. I know it sounds crazy, but it starts there. It starts at the youthful age. And, you know, here in St. Johns County, we're in a special place. We don't have the crime like they do in Duval County. We work more in the partnerships here. Yes, we're very aggressive. I think our residents in St. Johns County know, as your sheriff, I don't tolerate crime, but also they want to live in a safe environment and raise their kids and hopefully retire here one day.
Sheriff, both of you, thank you so much. This is tremendous, and we're really excited about this Police Athletic League partnership.
Absolutely. We appreciate y'all. Have a great night, Scott. Thanks for having us on, and thank you, Ted.
Well, before you go, I wanted to say this. After listening, to your speech and everything, you and your wife, what a remarkable job you're doing. And as y'all know, these kids need a lot of help. Anytime I turn on my TV and I keep seeing 8 and 9-year-old kids with AK-47, that's pretty bad. But to take this gentleman and his wife to take their time out of their life and devote it to those kids to try to help them so that they don't go down the wrong path, I don't know what else to tell you. God bless you and your wife, man, and just keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And listen, everybody get out and support this event. River City Con, Wrestling Con, it's the only event in St. Johns County like it. So get out, support it. Big names are going to be there. It'll be the safest environment in St. Johns County. We appreciate you, Scott, and appreciate Sam and Nick for what you're doing for our community. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Thank
you, Sheriff. And Teddy, I want to ask you, so you can pick up any mic.
Yeah.
So we're about to bring up Hatchet Pro Wrestling, but as far as the youth thing, so when I've started doing this, the amount of people I hear who say, wrestling got me out of crime, wrestling got me off the streets. Do you run into a lot of people without wrestling, life may have taken a different path?
Well, not a lot of people. A lot of guys that I've met that had the chance to go down to NXT. I went down there for a visit, and I talked to some of the kids down there, and a lot of them got involved in crime. They were out doing stuff, bad things, and they got involved in NXT, got in the wrestling school, and decided that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to become a professional wrestler in their career. So I think that the positive thing we need to do is have as many programs as we can create to help these kids, because they're in bad shape, man.
Sure.
I don't know what's going on. What amazes me is how do these 7 and 8-year-old kids get guns? I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up NXT because you transitioned us to the next segment with student wrestlers.
Okay.
And Hatchet Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
Down here in St. Augustine. I think if you guys have a couple wrestlers who might want to come up here. So if you're not aware, and we profiled Hatchet Pro Wrestling on Going Ringside many times. They are the brand new wrestling school run by Sam Shaw, who you might know better as Dexter Loomis. And you can take a microphone down there. They all work. You can take a microphone right here. So these are a couple of their students. Introduce yourself, sir, first. Let's start with you.
Hello, my name is Quincy. I was born in Ado, Georgia, but I moved down here to Jacksonville when I was young, and I've been training at Hatchet Pro Wrestling since January 23rd.
And what, do you have a ring name yet?
Draco Neeks.
Draco Neeks?
Neeks.
Okay, we will keep an eye out, and you're down at the end.
Well, wait a minute. Can you explain Draco Neeks? What does that mean?
The origin of your name.
It doesn't really have an origin yet. So I don't want to put out a false story. It's just a name that I came up with. I'm a fan of Harry Potter, and I always love the bad guy. I love it when the bad guy wins. So I think about Draco Malfoy, and I kind of just took his name, and right now I'm just running with it.
Teddy, before we move on, I want to ask you, because you asked about the name. Is the name of a wrestler, how important is that to get a good name, would you say?
Well, you have to make sure the name fits the person. You know what I mean? You can have a good name, but if it doesn't fit your style or the character, it doesn't work for you. So that's really important, too. That's why I stopped him, because I'd never heard that before, and I wanted to know what was the meaning of that. Why did you choose that name?
And we have another guest right down here. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yes, sir. My name's RJ Roman. I'm about 6 weeks into my first beginner course at Hatchet Pro Wrestling. I have a background in American Ninja Warrior.
Okay, stop right there. Let's not bury the lead. Wrestling isn't the first time you've been on television being athletic. Talk to us about American Ninja Warrior.
Yes, sir. So I've been on American Ninja Warrior for 7 seasons. I've been in the national finals every single time, and I hold tons of records here in the United States. I am the American who has the most stage 3 clears out of anyone. and that's worldwide. So I've competed in the U.S., Germany, Japan, all over the place.
So talk to me, either of you. Hatchet Pro Wrestling, having a wrestling school with a legit WWE star running things. What's it been like there? Because I see Hatchet Pro Wrestling a lot, and I'm seeing big stars come through your guys' place.
Yes, sir. So with my background, I also coach for my profession. So I've worked with tons of kids around the world who kind of view me the same way that I view my coaches. So it's really cool to be in that position where I'm, looking up to these people that I see on TV doing something that I want to be really good at, and knowing that they're really good at it. So it's been really cool being in that.
How long have you been in it?
I started training just over a year ago. January 23rd was my very first day, and I've been loving it ever since. I haven't missed a single day.
So you guys have had stars come through, haven't you? I mean, Sam Shaw, Dexter Loomis, although I'm not allowed to say it, but I will. He brings in some of the big stars, doesn't he?
He does. We met Alicia Fox is her stage name. We've met Indy Hartwell. We've met Robert Stone. We've met a lot of different people, and our coaches have connections that help us learn about the business. And it's wonderful to see that when we go to this school, the coaches will teach us things about the business, and then we'll see it on the indies, and then we'll also sit on TV, and then when we have guests come in, they end up repeating the exact same thing our coaches tell us, and it brings validation that our coaches actually know what they're talking about. So as a student, it gives me a lot of confidence that I can trust my coaches, because they're saying it here, I'm seeing it out in public, and then people that I never met are also saying the exact same thing.
So Teddy, at the WWE level or the big time, which you're quite familiar with, do they monitor the schools? I mean, are they kind of on top of it?
Yeah, well,
let's see if that's working. Let's do this. Hold this.
All right. Yeah, they do. They keep up with what's going on, and you have to do that. You know what I mean? Because you have a lot of kids sometimes, they don't really get it. They don't understand, and they're not real serious. So you have to get on top of them immediately and let them know, hey, this is no joke. We're not playing here. This is all business. So I think that's good. You got to monitor them so until they know what this business is all about. A lot of people get in wrestling and they ain't got a clue. Not one clue. Okay, so it's best to know.
Hey guys, I'm going to hand to our audio engineers this microphone, see if we can get it working. So on your end, the mic is working, I'm told. Teddy, check. Yeah, you can hold that, Teddy. Okay, we got them all working.
You must put the magic on it.
I think I put the magic on it.
All right.
Talk to me about, so we've got like a high school, a college kid, a teenager, wants to get into wrestling. What's it like for them? Because I'm sure there's a bit of a shock to the system when you walk in a ring and they start pounding on you.
Absolutely. Before you get into the ring, you have to go through a lot of exercises. No matter what you do, it's going to test your character and your heart, right? That goes for all sports, wrestling especially. So anyone who's looking to get into it, it's not something that you're just going to pick up immediately, no matter what your background is. You're gonna be tested in all those aspects.
Teddy, when you would see young people come in, new wrestlers, green, do many wash out? Or by the time they get to WWE, do they, I'm gonna do this?
Well, you see a lot of them, sometimes they'll come in and they just, at the beginning, they just don't get it. They don't understand. So you have to wait there. You have to have a lot of patience, okay? And so you have to sit down. You got to talk with them. A lot of them don't want to listen to you, and some of them do listen to you. So you just have to wait and see and find out who you really need to talk to and see who really you think's going to make it.
Got it. Let me give this mic to Teddy if we could. Teddy, let you hold that. So talk to me about what was it like your first few days when you walked in?
My first few days, we did a whole bunch of squats and push-ups. For me, I looked at it like Tough Enough just because I was a fan and I wanted to compete because I wanted to be the best. I finally had my opportunity to do something I've always wanted to do. It was nerve-wracking because I had never been in the wrestling ring before. And so stepping into the wrestling ring, you hear all these rumors about the mat's like a trampoline, the ropes are soft, and I can confirm to you none of that's true. Those ropes hurt, That mat is not soft. It hurts.
I'm a wuss. I got body slammed one time, and I'll never do it again.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention that and I forgot about it. You know, a lot of times I've seen some guys, they'll step into the ring. Well, they look at TV and they think it's all easy on TV and they take it another way. They don't believe it's real. So once they got in that ring and started taking bumps, they found out, and some of them didn't come back. You know, oh, we didn't know this was like it was, so they got scared and didn't come back. The guys that really wanted it, they stayed.
Now, Teddy, not everyone who goes into wrestling starts as a wrestler,
no,
as you know.
No.
I mean, there's other jobs on camera.
When I first broke in, I did almost everything. I did ring announcing. I was a referee. I put up the ring, took the ring down. So I had several jobs I did. But I'm glad I did all those jobs because I learned from that. So if I'm not able to do something over here, maybe you can use me over here. So you know what I mean? There's always a spot for you.
So I want to ask that. Do you guys just learn wrestling, or beyond the physical in the ring, what are they teaching you?
So far for me, since I'm so new, we've just been learning the fundamentals of wrestling, so I can't speak on all of the other stuff just yet. I haven't learned it yet, but I'm sure they will be teaching that to us.
So you've got to learn the set up the ring, but you've also got to learn, and Teddy, you can speak to this, the on camera. It's one thing to be like the guy I think of as like Barbarian. Barbarian could work better than anyone, but he wasn't a talker. So do you run into that? That's
why you had managers. Okay, a lot of guys that were good in the ring, they couldn't talk. So that's what the manager's job was. Not Butch Reed, God rest his soul, him and Ron, they could talk, but I was just a little bit more jivier with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how I managed to get in, managing guys, because I could talk. So that's basically the main thing. If you got a guy that can't talk, you put him with a manager. Some guys are lucky to be able to talk and wrestle. So they can entertain and wrestle, so they don't need no manager. Like The Rock. He can do his own talking.
He started with, I can't remember he started with a manager or not, but once he started talking, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hatchet Pro Wrestling, St. Augustine, Florida. If you want to learn, if you want to try becoming a wrestler, check them out. They're online. We're going to have them more on Going Ringside in weeks to come. Gentlemen, good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations, man, and hope y'all will make success, all right?
Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Cash, you're on deck. Give me 1 minute. Teddy, I want to ask you about a different aspect of wrestling.
All right.
We're about to have a guy who's very close with a mainstream celebrity. I'm not going to say it yet. But in wrestling, you guys deal with a lot of mainstream celebrities. They bring in big stars, things like there's a lot of overlap. Any fun stories you recall of when they would bring in any mainstream non-wrestling people?
No, golly.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, that's
the one that I was watching last night. I watched Paul White, Big Show, going against the boxer Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, we was in Vegas. I was right there.
You were there for that one?
Yeah, I was there. I saw that. Like I said, that's a pretty hard question.
Was that a Vince thing? Would Vince always try and get big names? Because I remember at WrestleManias, he would always try and get big stars.
Well, that's what they did. If you at the beginning, Liberace, way back then, he was a big kid. And I'll tell you one story we had Aretha Franklin, God rest her soul. She was there, but she was being a real pain one night. She had about 15 guys, like bodyguards, following her around. And then she didn't want to perform because the air conditioning wasn't on.
This is Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin. I was right there in Detroit. They had her one night. She was complaining about the air conditioning was too cold or something, but she didn't want to perform until they cut off all the air.
Well, the reason why I bring up mainstream celebs, because there's one mainstream celeb who has been intrinsically close to pro wrestling for 40 years. He is beyond a household name. His name is Sylvester Stallone. And one guy who just magically went from the world of pro wrestling is Cash Flow. Cash, thanks for coming on today.
Shout it out for Cash.
Cash, grab that microphone down at the end. I think that one's still working for us.
Sounds like it's working, Scott.
Cash, I want to get to Sly in a bit, but talk to the viewers a little about your time in wrestling. You were like one of those king of the indie type guys.
I've spent the majority of my time on the indies. I've ran these roads for almost 30 years. I started in 1996. Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was a little promotion that kind of come off of the heels of Paul Heyman's ECW back in the mid-'90s. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was called IWA Mid-South. Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth for about 10 years, so, and I have the scars to prove it. I promise you that. Holla, holla, player. But,
back at you, player.
So then eventually you start having overlap with Al Snow.
Yeah, I met Al Snow in 2016, and the first thing that Al Snow said to me when I walked up to him, he took one look at me, he looked at the other guy beside me, and he said, "You know what? You look like a wrestler." Because none of the other guys that he had around him, I guess they wasn't standing out. They didn't really look the part. I said, "Well, Al, how about you give me a shot?" Well, it's been a match made in heaven ever since. I used to teach for his school. The guy has been like a mentor and a father figure for me for about the last 10 years. So he's one of the sharpest minds in professional wrestling. You want to learn how to wrestle? You spend some time with Al Snow, and I promise you, he will make you a better wrestler.
I promise we're getting to Stallone in a moment, but something fundamentally changed independent wrestling when Netflix came calling for you guys.
Yeah, we happened to get there's been some flux in the OVW management, and we had gotten some new owners. They wanted to spruce up the place, and one of the owners, who happens to be the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky right now, he had a connection with Netflix, and a production company and a director by the name of Greg Whiteley really wanted to do a documentary on the independent wrestling and the strife and the struggles to get to, Mr. Teddy Long's, World Wrestling Entertainment. And, of course, OVW's been a feeding ground for WWF, WWE for years. Yeah. And, it kind of went hand in hand. So push comes to shove, they ended up doing an 8-episode documentary on Netflix. It's called Wrestlers. Have any of you guys seen that? It really gives you a good look inside of the struggles and the characters of professional wrestling, and I just happen to be one of those intricate characters in that series. So,
and it tells you the truth.
It does. It's very real. You can look at it and tell that it's very real. It doesn't hold anything back. These guys were about as invasive as cockroaches in my house, let me tell you.
Then you get the phone call that you told me about I couldn't believe.
Well, after the series had come out, things had started to pick up. Business was doing good. Wrestling was going really well, and I was staying really busy. Well, I ended up going out and getting a casting agency. And I got an email saying, hey, this casting director wants to know if Cash Flow would want to read for these lines. I went and read the lines. I found out that it was for a television program on Paramount Plus called Tulsa King. 3 weeks later, they called me. Hey, you got the job. Can you fly here? Can you be there tomorrow? They said if you get a phone call in the next few minutes, it would be in your best interest to pick it up. I get that phone call about 15 minutes later, and sure enough, it's Sly Stallone calling me on the phone. Cash, me and my wife binge watch Netflix Wrestlers. You're a star. You shine. I got this part I wrote for you. I would love to have you in our crew. Do you want to do it? Of course I said, yeah. What am I going to tell Rocky? No.
What's he like?
Very driven. The guy, he's one of the biggest stars in the universe when it comes to Hollywood. And for somebody that has been around that long to have as much drive and passion for what he does, because he does it all, from acting to producing. I see this guy 3 o'clock in the morning editing the stuff that he just shot the previous day. I mean, he does it all, and it makes you feel good to be able to work closely with somebody that continues to have that drive and that passion. Something else that I wanted to say to the young wrestlers, because you guys were talking about the school earlier, just remember, guys, wherever you go, always present yourself and be ready, because I'm living proof that opportunities can come at the drop of a hat, and if you're not prepared to take advantage of it, you'll never make it. Okay? Be prepared. And hopefully the Hatchet Pro Wrestling School is teaching you guys that, okay?
And I want to touch on that. You just said something that brought. Go ahead, man. Give him a big hand. Yeah. And he was saying something about you have to be prepared because a lot of times they don't tell you nothing. And I'll give you a perfect example. The night that I became the general manager of SmackDown, I didn't know that. They never told me nothing at all until 5 minutes before we got ready to walk out. One of the writers came to me and told me, said, hey, you know, you're going to be the general manager of SmackDown. And that was, I mean, now I'm really nervous and shaking because, I mean, this is a big opportunity, but I guess it was better for me not to know it, you know, and to get it like I got it. And so, like he said, you got to be prepared.
And Cash, I want to get your opinion why we're here, River City Wrestling Con. Talk to me about these conventions. This is becoming one of the big ones in the country.
It absolutely is. You know, I've been going to a lot of conventions here lately, and a couple of them come to mind. Well, another one that has been coming up, you know, in my talkings is the River City Wrestling Con. It's started in 2018, I believe, and it's gotten bigger ever since. You know, you hear Teddy talking about the old fairgrounds. They've had to move it out. You know, it's very exciting. They're bringing in all the big stars. You know, it's going to be off the hook, Scott. It's going to be off the hook. Now, what about that chop?
Okay. I've had one chop in my life, and it hurt. It was from Flair. I'll take one.
If you got it from Flair, it was a real chop.
He asked me, do you want the real or the fake? I said, you're Ric Flair, I want the real. I want it to hurt.
He don't know how to get no fake chop.
We're going to do a chop.
You're going to do one.
I am going to regret this.
Yes, you are.
Look at Nick. Look.
I didn't sign it.
Now, Scott, do you want the real or do you want the fake?
I want the real, but don't knock me through the table, please.
Well, do I have a volunteer to stand behind Scott?
Knock him through the table.
I'm not one to fake. You know, that word is a dirty word to me, so.
Here we go.
Come on, Scott, you can take it. All right, let's get him ready. Come on. Chop, 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 chop. Come on, give it to him. Very good. Outstanding, Scott. Outstanding.
Oh, not outstanding. Good Lord. You know, I always take those for granted on TV. They are
Joke's on you, Scott. Joke's on you.
Time. It's harder than Flair's. Much harder than Flair's. I can tell you that right now.
They've always said I had heavy hands.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
you got a heavy hand.
Nick knew it. You could see it in his eyes. He knew it.
The organizer I'm going to call up in a second is like, I didn't have him sign any forms.
Nick's been chopped before us.
I was body slammed at Hatchet Pro Wrestling. I think this was worse. No offense, John Davis, if you're listening. That was...
Scott actually got off light. He had his shirt on.
Yeah.
He had his shirt on.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, well, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, because you're going to set yourself up for another chop.
Teddy,
without the shirt.
Oh, God. Cash flow. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening. Cash flow, thank you very much.
You're a good sport.
Oh, God.
Hey, let's give Cash Flow a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Cash flow.
I'll see all you guys at the River City Wrestling Con, okay?
Thank you, Cash. Teddy, here's your phone. I don't want you to lose it. Teddy,
I got it.
You've had to get into the ring and take some bumps over the years, much more than I have, but you're not necessarily a trained wrestler. What's it like? Any famous bumps you remember?
No, I know I took one time from Big Show. I think he grabbed me and he went to throw me out, but he grabbed me and he didn't warn me. Okay, so when he got ready to throw me out, I wasn't ready, so I went to grab the second rope and I missed it, and I landed right on my back on the cement floor. I got that
From
one.
Big Show.
Big Show.
Oh.
And I remember going back in the gorilla position, and Vince McMahon stopped me, and he said to me, he said, don't you ever let anybody grab you and throw you like that again.
Oh, really?
That's what Vince told me.
Huh. Well, what did Big Show think? Did you go back and say, Vince says I can't do that anymore?
No, Big Show didn't care.
Big Show didn't care. Well, I want to bring up Nick Patay. Nick is the mastermind behind all this. We don't talk about him much, but he's really the man who made this all happen. Nick Matei, overly young man. I still think he's too young to have accomplished all this. Nick, I think that's the best mic for us.
Are we sure? Okay, cool. It's working.
Yeah, Nick, talk to me about this. You started this. Your story always fascinates me every time I hear it. You're a college student, and you decide, I'm going to build one of the biggest wrestling cons in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. So I was studying at FSCJ, Florida State College of Jacksonville, at their North Campus, and at the time I was running a student organization. And they had this idea, they're like, we know that the Comic Cons are becoming a big thing, but we don't know how to do it. So they kind of gave me that task. That's how this whole thing started.
Really? So how did you start, how do you get people like Teddy and all these stars? I mean, how do you start getting, because I'm just thinking last year, Sting, Trish Stratus, Lita, Eric Bischoff. How do you start gathering these talents?
Believe it or not, a lot of them come to us now just because of the success the convention has seen over the past few years, and the location change to St. Johns County has helped us out tremendously in that. It's such a great tourist destination, so a lot of them are looking to come here on vacation, so it all kind of works out.
So if people are watching this from wherever and they want to come here in June, what should they know?
I'll let them know that you're going to expect around 100 wrestlers to come in and meet everybody. We have live wrestling matches, Q&A sessions. It's just an incredible family-friendly experience. We have a costume contest, gaming tournament, and of course we have live comedy. So there's so many amazing components to look forward to.
Teddy, I've always been fascinated by this kid in his 20s pulls off this huge thing. Are the promoters usually this young?
Well, you don't find them that young very much, you know what I mean? But I just want to say congratulations to him, because not only is he young, he's done a hell of a job of putting this stuff together. I can tell you that right now, man. So let's give him a big hand.
Yeah. Well, Nick, thank you very much. Good luck. We're going to be working closely together going into the June. And next up, another guy who's going to be kind of hosting this, Simon Says. Simon, do you have some time? Okay, we'll see. Simon, welcome.
Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Mr. Long.
How are you, young man?
Fantastic to be seen.
Well,
how are you guys doing? Boy, you people take your sleeping pills today? How are you doing? Jeez Louise. It's always great to be back here in Jacksonville.
Simon, you're going to
I'm sorry. We're St. Augustine? Yeesh.
Yeah.
I'm begging you.
Simon, you're going to have a big role this year in the whole thing.
Scott, I have a big role every year. Half of these sleepy-eyed mooks pay their money to come see me.
Yeah?
Yeah. To answer my trivia questions, to have me judge them in the costume contest, to watch my superior managerial skills in the ring and the wrestling portion. Half of River City Wrestling Con is Simon Says. It might as well be called Simon Says City Wrestling Con.
It should be?
It should be. I'm going to be helping you out. I'm going to be picking the slack up for you, co-hosting the Q&A sessions this year.
I'm excited about these Q&As.
Who made that decision?
The higher powers, Teddy.
Okay.
The higher powers.
Well, I understand that term. I know what that means.
You know all about the higher power.
The higher power.
Were you there during the higher power game?
Hey, it's my time.
Sorry.
It's my time.
Sorry.
My bad.
It's Simon time now.
It's Simon time?
It is. How many of you people would like to see meat chops, Scott?
No.
Ah.
It wouldn't be as bad as Cash, though.
Probably. You want to bet?
No, I don't.
You want to bet?
My chest still hurts.
That's for the best. Well, Scott, you've been here a couple of years. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Who is your favorite guest of River City, and why am I?
Well, let me exclude Teddy from that comment. And I'd love to say it's you, but the biggest mark moment of my life is when I was doing one of those Q&As that you'll help me with this coming, and I'm sitting interviewing Trish Stratus and Lita.
Let me pick up those names for you.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, how did this happen in my life that we are getting these megastars here in Northeast Florida to sit and just tell us about their career? Are you looking forward to the Q&As this year?
I am looking forward to showing you how it's done properly.
Okay.
I am looking forward to bringing my superior wrestling knowledge to all of you folks. We'll have prizes, we'll have giveaways. I've stepped up my quiz writing this year, and if we have any time, if Nick can afford my ridiculous fee, I may be asking a couple trivia questions here after the press conference. Scott, you want to join me for that?
I do, absolutely. I got a question for you.
Oh.
A lot of wrestling fans believe they are the smartest wrestling fan out there. What is your experience when you quiz these guys?
Last year was a big year. River City 2024, Sting, Lita, Tristratus, all of the guests, it was a year to top. But as far as the trivia went, Teddy, I need you to stay awake for this, Teddy. Last year, Teddy helped me out during the trivia here at the press conference. But as far as the convention, it was a who's who of who cares. It was like scraping the bottom.
Well, just a minute.
Those people knew nothing about my trivia questions.
Well, the reason they knew nothing about your trivia questions because your trivia questions were the worst questions in the whole world. Nobody never even heard of that. So
don't clap for that.
What I advise you to do is to leave the trivia questions alone and do what you do best, and that is run your mouth. Now you just keep on telling us what we need to do.
He says you're running your mouth.
My driver drove a long way to bring me here. I don't need to be. Look, Teddy.
You can't drive too far in a golf cart.
This is getting a little tense here on Going Ringside.
I don't come out here and tell you how to do your job, which is signing pictures of yourself from 30 years ago. You don't tell me how to be the top professional wrestling, trivia hosting, River City personality in this. I'm the smartest man in this room, Teddy. You understand that?
Yeah, you're so smart. You're the kind of guy that would take a bag of M&Ms and try to put them in alphabetical order, all right?
It's getting real here.
Forget Scott. How many of you people want to see me chop Teddy Long?
Whoa!
Well, if you chop me, then the next move for you is one-on-one with The Undertaker.
All right, Scott. I'm going to be busier than any other human being this year. Trivia contest, costume contest, Q&A sessions, the pro wrestling portion. There is something for everybody at every level of fandom at River City Wrestling Con. This is my 4th year with the convention. And there's a reason why they stick my ugly mug first and foremost on all the social media.
Because you pay them.
Oh, my God. Did you pull his talk string?
I am just the middleman here. I am the middleman. And it's probably best that I'm in the middle right now.
Hold on, Mr. Clean. Hey, you, sunglasses at night. Why don't you pipe down? All right? Cut his mic off. Well, yeah.
No, we don't need to cut his mic off. We need to cut something else off.
Oh! Whoa. Are there children here?
Is Lorena Bobbitt here?
Here we go.
There may not be children, but there are adults with the intelligence of children. Yeah, last year was rough, Scotty. I mean, my goodness. I had to go from asking, who has the highest overall time in the Women's Royal Rumble collectively to name the 4th member of Evolution. And I was just giving prizes away. I could not believe it.
So if you are a smart mark, very smart, if they come, they'll probably be getting all the prizes?
It's a pretty fair chance. I mean, when I have to look you dead in the face after I ask 3 trivia questions and say, do you watch wrestling? That happened a number of times last year. And I mean, there's a couple of people that don't touch grass. Chris, I recognize you because obviously your life revolved around...
I noticed something you were just saying, and I remember last year. Now you're telling them all about tell them about all the bribes that you took from people.
Bribes, huh?
There you go, folks. It only took 13 minutes for Teddy Long to remember me from last year.
Well, you could thank God I remembered you.
I don't need this. I'm a very important person. I am a commodity. I am highly requested. I don't need to sit here and let Teddy Long tell your agent to stop calling you while we're trying to do a press conference.
He's probably trying to tell me to get rid of you. He's probably looking at us live right now.
Got the hook?
That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm trying to figure out and I'm going to look to Nick in the distance, do we want to make the big announcement right about now? Are we to that point? Okay, well, we've been building toward this all show. This is, I know.
Now, you be quiet. We finna make the big announcement now. Just be quiet.
Sure, let me take orders from Teddy Long.
No, you're not taking orders. I'm just asking you to be quiet. I'm not telling you.
Well, I think what people have waited for was to get the announcement of the major guest stars who will be gracing us at River City Wrestling Con this year. Last year it was Sting, Trish, Lita, and so many more. And this year we are going to do the major announcement now. Teddy, I think I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I'm going to keep it with you. I don't know the major announcement.
Well, let's find out. You can respond for us.
All right.
Let's start right now. Here it comes.
Cut the music. I'll spoil it for you. The Hurt Business and Simon Says is your big announcement. Turn this off.
Oh, my God. It's
all right.
That's got to be... Oh! Paul White, The Big Show. Bret,
all right.
The Hitman Hart. Good God. Oh, and there's someone... Oh, Kurt Angle is back. Bret Hart, Teddy, your thoughts here? These are some of the biggest names ever.
Well, I can't wait to see some of these guys. In fact, each one of them I've worked with all of my whole entire career. So to be a part of this is really going to be an exciting thing, man.
So let's look at it. Just get the wide shot there to my cameraman. From left to right, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin. I know we're not supposed to call him the Big Show, but let's do it. Big Show. Paul White will be here. The Hitman himself, Bret Hart, Bobby Lashley, Kane, the Big Red Machine.
Yeah.
And the guy at the very end who I think you know pretty well, right, Teddy?
Yeah, I know him real well. MVP.
MVP will be here, so we pretty much got all the Hurt business. Simon?
Scott, I believe we have a few Q&As lined up with several of those gentlemen on the screen right now.
So that means that fans can come and literally interact and ask them questions about
Absolutely. We'll be asking them some questions of our own. We'll be soliciting questions from these guys. It's going to be one heck of a weekend. Teddy, will you be there?
I'm not telling you.
Oh,
He's not telling us. Well,
will you be there?
I'm not telling you.
I hope not.
But yes.
As I play Peacemaker, we're going to have some fun here. But as far as the televised portion, we're going to wrap it up here. So that is the big name. I don't want to end with Teddy and get a shot of the big guests. These who will be here June 7th and 8th at River City Wrestling Con in World Golf Village. To my director, you can roll the close after we hear a quick holla, holla, holla from this man, Teddy Long.
Well, I'll give it to you. Holla, holla, holla! I know you can do better than that. Holla, holla, holla! That's what I'm talking about, players.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next time on Going Ringside.
Yada, yada, yada. Good night.
This has been Going Ringside with the local station, brought to you every Wednesday on your favorite podcast player, on New Sport Jacks Plus, as well as the New Sport Jacks YouTube channel.